Yes, good evening to everybody. Welcome to the today class that I am going to deal, and I study that half of the part that I deal the nervous shock. In other words, we can say the psychiatric illness. Yes, or psychiatric injury or psychiatric harm also we can say. So please read what I posted on the screen. Anyone can unmute and read. Hurry up.
Mental illness types: depression disorders, bipolar mood disorders, personality disorders, eating disorders, schizophrenia disorders, anxiety disorders.
So these are all that mental illness, or we can say that psychological illness. It will come over there. And if you want to stress the some more point in the psychological illness, that I will show you the thing. Of course, here type of illness. See the types and symptoms of the common psychiatric disorders. There we can say example. Depression also comes over there. There is a psychological disorder and the personality disorder, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, and eating disorder, addictive behavior. So these are all various other types of these psychological disorders are there because of this high stress and strain, and something is untoward incident happened to them that was a great shock on the brain. So that was the thing actually I want to say it. And in my yesterday class, we are dealing about the case law. Here we are dealing the Alcock and others versus Chief Constable of the South Yorkshire, 1992 AC 310 House of Lords. This is the very famous case law where there are core points have come over there. And in this case law, and what happened in this case law, this case arose from the disaster that occurred at the Hillsborough Football Stadium in Sheffield in the FA Cup semi-final match between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest in 1989. So that is the, what is the match it is? What is the match it is?
Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest.
What is the type of the match it is?
Semi-final match, sir.
But here I am showing you this is the
match.
cup. FA Cup. And do you know who are these people? Even I did not have an idea. FA means, what is FA means? Sir, cricket.
Sir.
Football Federation. No, it is a football.
It is a football association. That is the thing where we can say football association cup is called FA Cup. Did you see here? The Football Association Challenging Cup. More commonly between the FA Cup is an annual knockout football competition in men's domestic English football, first played during the 1871-72 season in the oldest national football championship in the world. It's the oldest football championship in the world, that is the nervous shock. In the FA Cup, they are playing between the Liverpool and Nottingham. These are the two. Forest 1989 case law. So South Yorkshire police have been responsible for the crowd control and the football match. I don't know what the untoward incident happened over there. The mob become unruly over there because there are a small place and heavy people are joined over there. So number of the spectators to one end of the stadium, which resulted in the fatal crash in which 95 people were killed. Actually, there are many people who are there, so there were the crash in that crash, 95 people were killed, over the 4,000 were physically injured. The scene were broadcast live on the television, were also repeated on news broadcast, and 16 claims were brought against the defendant for the nervous shock against the board, resulting in the psychiatric injury. A trial, 10 of them claims were successful. The defendant appealed against the finding in 9, and the unsuccessful claimant appealed. The Court of Appeal found that the defendant in all of the claims, 10 appeals were made to the House of Lords. Lastly, the 10 appeals are going to the House of Lords. These included the claims made by the brothers, sisters, parents, grandparents, and fiancé. 2 of the claimants have been at the ground in the different area. Some had been even unfold on the television. Some had heard about the events in the other ways. So that is the greatest disaster happened. That's the Hillsborough Stadium in that FA Cup. So many people are died over there. So the people, those who filed the cases, 16 of them filed the cases. Then the question comes over there, whether they are present on the situation and the event. Answer is no. Okay, some of them are present but not near to the stampede where the people are died. Who are they? They are unknown persons. So what is our criteria? There should be love and affection between them. The love and affection comes when the spouse would be there or children should be there. More, I am speaking. And aftermath, there is a principle aftermath, means immediately. Whether immediately it is gone over there, then actually they have seen, not directly, but through the television. So some of them suffered with the television and they felt the nervous shock. So what they said, this Alka case law, we are not going to get the nervous shock because they are not very close to the people, those who died, number one. Number two, they are not on the spot where they saw with the naked eye, number two. Number three, very immediately aftermath, they did not see it, they saw in the television, which is far away. Of course, the type of the nervous shock they felt is not to the extent where they have went to the coma. So they say that the Lord Oliver set out the distinction between the primary and secondary victim. I told you, primary victim is the person who directly involved in the accident, and secondary victim only he heard or saw the situation, the event, the accident. So a primary victim was involved immediately, and immediately at the participation, and the secondary victim one who is no more a passive and unwilling witness of the injury to others. So the secondary victim is successful. For the psychiatric harms, they must meet the following criteria. What is the criteria? Read the 4 criteria.
Number
Yes.
1, a close tie of love and affection to a primary victim. Number 2, witness the event with their own unaided senses. Number 3, proximity to the event or its immediate aftermath. Number 4, the psychiatric injury must be caused by a shocking event.
Okay, let us see the first one. Whether there is a close tie of love and affection to the primary victim.
No, sir.
Answer, there is no close relationship would be there. The people, those who died. But one fancy is there. But fancy doesn't come under close relation. Witness the event with their own unaided senses. Did they saw with their own naked eye?
No,
Answer,
sir.
they did not see it because some of them saw in the television. And some of them saw it. No, they only heard it. But they are far away from the incident where it is happened in the stadium. Number 3, proximity to the event and its immediate aftermath. Yes, some of them saw, but from the different places on the spot only. But some of them saw in the television. So the impact will be less in the television. And the people directly saw from the near having the more impact. So this is a little okay, but not the full extent. Number 4, the psychiatric injury must be exhausted by the shocking event. So the psychiatric injury means it is more than a insult, a distress, unhappiness, uncomfortable. These are all the things would be there. Then only we can say that a psychological injury would be happened over there. So among them, if any one of these element is missed over there, then we cannot count it as a psychiatric illness, or we cannot count it as a nervous shock. So shock in the context of this cause of action involves the sudden appreciation by sight and sound of horrifying event which violently agitates the mind. It has to be included psychiatric illness caused by the accumulation over the period of time of more gradual assault on the nervous system. So they made the control mechanism would be there, that McClone versus O'Brien case law, and where I have already told you that what are the facts of this case law? Anyone?
Pass on, sir.
Because I gave the short facts to in advance, and I put it in the group also. The purpose of keeping it, at least you read some of them and come to the class. That was my intention. Here, father and 3 children are traveling in a car, and they met with an accident, and the mother heard that they met with an accident. Immediately she rushed to the hospital, and there he saw one person died on the spot, in the hospital, One is struggling for the life, another is in mortuary. What is mortuary?
The
What is
place where
mortuary?
that
You say
cutting of dead bodies.
pass on. If you don't know, you say pass on or you give me the answer.
Pass on, sir.
Where the corpses are kept for the people, those who did not claim the corpse, the dead body of the animal, the dead body of the persons. The cold storage where the corpse, dead bodies are kept is called mortuary. So she saw one spot dead, mother, and she saw another is struggling for the life, and another is mortuary. And but immediately she suffered the shock. So there we can compare all the four. What is all the four? Here we saw what is the four? A close tie of love and affection to primary victim. Is it or not? Who are the
Yes, sir.
primary victims?
The children.
Children.
And of course, father is he's got only little injuries, means husband. So children are the primary victims. What is the relationship? Mother and
Mother and children.
Is there?
Number one is fulfilled. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Number two, witness the event with their own unaided senses. They did not witness it. She only heard it. Okay. Second, partially. Okay. What is the third? Proximity to the event, it is immediate aftermath. Yes. Immediately the accident happened. Immediately she rushed to the hospital. So aftermath is there, immediate. And the psychiatric injury must be caused by a shocking event. Yes. She felt unconscious for a longer time. And that leads to the a blood flow shortage would be there in the nervous system, and that causes the an imbalance of the mechanism of the controlling of the body. So yes, the fourth is fulfilled over there, and hence in the McLaughlin versus O'Brien case law, they satisfied the three additional control mechanism. There is the proximity of a relationship with the immediate victim, that is the secondary victim was in a close relationship of love and affection with the immediate victim, that is the primary victim, such as the spouse, parent, children, and scope of relation stated above can be expanded, can be expanded to the fancier and grandparents. No, generally it cannot be extended to the fancies and grandparents, because in the Alcock, the fancy would be there. They are not given over there. Moreover, they are not fulfilled all the three rest of the other four conditions in a total way. That's why Alcock, there is no psychological injuries caused over there. That means there is no nervous shock in the Alcock case law. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the proximity in time and space, the event causing the psychiatric illness. Suppose incident happened today. After 3 days, if anybody suffered the injury, it cannot be counted as a nervous shock. So according to the situation in a particular case, the plaintiff must have witnessed the actual accident, means the person who saw it, the secondary victim, he saw the accident with the naked eye, and or aftermath, very immediately after it, but within a short space of time. But there is no much space of time should be there. And some liberty is provided under the criteria provided according to the situation. So some of the cases, the chance will be given till they reaches to the hospital. It will take the time if the hospital is very far away. So it is an exceptional cases. On the merit of the case law, it will be given nervous shock or not. So the means which the psychiatric illness is caused, what is the means? The information received by the third party is not considered because of being exposed to circumstances or subsequent reflections on an event is different from the witnessing the event and after it not. So generally the hearsay cannot be considered, but here in the O'Brien case law it is considered because she did not see it, but she heard it. But when she approached to the hospital, then she saw everything. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who are the primary victims?
The children
involved
and
in
the
the-
father.
Children and father.
Those who involved in the accident are primary victims. And who are the secondary victims? Just they saw the incident with the naked eye, they heard, and they felt a shock because they are very close to primary victims, to secondary victims.
Secondary.
So only one exception is there in the primary victim he got the nervous shock. That is a Page versus Smith case, wherein a claimant may recover the psychiatric harm even though the threatened physical harm does not materialize it. Actually, he is going in a horse-drawn cart and where he met in an accident. But this person is, there is one disease called EM, some elephantosis, something like that. I will tell you what is the disease. Nervous shock. So he was having such a disease. Psychiatric start. So he is having such a disease. I will tell you that what is the disease. So earlier he was suffering with the disease, and that but this instance triggered the disease more. That is actually it is happened. Triggered means boosted. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
The triggered means boosted here. The triggered the incident over there. That is the Page versus Smith. Yeah, this is the Page versus Smith. You will see the, yeah, this is the case law. See, ME. So ME means this is myalgic encephalomyelitis. ME they say. The claimant was driving slowly in the direction and the defendant was driving slowly on the other side of the road. The defendant crossed over the center line and crashed into the claimant. There was a damage to the claimant car, but to physical injury was actually caused to the claimant. However, the claimant had suffered from the myalgic encephalomyelitis (ME) in the past, and he claimed that the crash incident triggered the ME, means boosted the ME. If you don't know the full form, just you write ME only. Okay?
Okay, sir.
If you write ME, the examiner feel very happy. If you say that the incident triggered the ME, if you write he will feel more happy, because triggered word is very fantastic word. Boosted. As a result, the claimant and he suffered from an exhaustive state and could be no longer work. There was a consequential financial loss to hell. The court in favor of the claimant, a duty was owed to him. Only in this case, primary victim got the compensation. In all other cases, only
Secondary
Primary victim.
victim is going to get the compensation. సార్ సిగరెట్ తాగినోడు మంచి హార్మ్ఫుల్లా సార్? పక్కకున్నోడు హార్మ్ఫుల్ ఎక్కువ అవుతుందా సార్? పక్కకున్నోనికి బాగా హార్మ్ఫుల్ అవుతుంది, తాగినోనికి తక్కువ అవుతుంది హార్మ్ సిగరెట్. ఆ పక్కకున్నోళ్ళని ఏమంటారండి? ఈ తాగేటోని మాత్రం స్మోకర్ అంటాం, మరి పక్కకున్నోళ్ళని ఏమంటాం?
Passive smoker.
ప్యాసివ్ స్మోకర్ అంటాము. సో ప్యాసివ్ స్మోకర్ విల్ బి hurt a lot than the smoker because of the smoking. Is it clear? Say yes. Say yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
అట్లా నాకు చెప్పాలా మధ్యలో తానా అంటది కదా. బుర్రకథ విన్నారా అండి ఎప్పుడన్నా?
విన్నాం సార్.
దాంట్లో ఏమంటారు మధ్యలో?
తానా.
మరి హరికథలు ఏమంటారండి?
తరిగిటదాం.
అట్లంటారా? వెంకటరమణ గోవింద గోవింద. భక్తులంతా నిద్రపోతున్నారు, సపోటత్తలేదు. ఇంకోసారి చెప్పండి.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు జబర్దస్త్ లా డియో సైదులు అంటారు సార్.
Okay, that is the way we can make it out and how it can be caused over there. So now let us come to the another point here. So primary victims, secondary victims, Alka case law we already studied, and this case law we will see it. White case law. The White versus Chief Constable of the South Yorkshire Police ఏం చేసిందంటే, Alka case law they denied the nervous shock. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
O'Brien case law they accept the nervous shock. But in this case law, in 1998, a case in English tort law in which police officers who are present in the aftermath of the Hillsborough disaster, a Hillsborough disaster la police వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారు అక్కడ to control it. They literally saw the
Incident.
స్టాంపీడ్ అంటారు. దానికి ఏమంటారు? తొక్కొని చచ్చిపోదాన్ని ఏమంటారు? Stampede. They actually
Stampede.
saw the people, those who died in the stampede, they saw the people are wriggling for the life in the pool of the blood, but still the people are going over them, and they also suffer the nervous shock. Can the police will get the compensation in the same case law where they directly
No,
present
sir.
over there? Yes.
But there is no relation
There is
between
no
the.
relationship. Condition chadavandi. Proximity relations with the immediate victim is there? No.
No.
Proximity in time, okay. Idi unnadi. Proximity in time and space to event causes psychiatric illness. Idi unnadi. Endukante they are very much present. And they saw there with naked eyes. The means which the psychiatric illness is caused. Yes, it is caused over there. But these are the people, those who are supposed to do the duty. Are you following?
They are met for that. Yeah, they are met for that only.
Yes, sir.
And if anything వాడు అన్నాడు పోలీసులు ఉన్నానుకో రక్తం చూడగానే వాడు కింద పడ్డానుకో వాడిని అన్ఫిట్ చేసేస్తారు తెలుసా అండి
అవును.
ఎక్కడ పెడతారు రైటర్ గా పెడతారు పోలీస్ స్టేషన్ లా ఆర్ యు ఫాలోయింగ్ మీ
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
సో దీస్ పీపుల్ దే ఆర్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ టు గెట్ ఇట్ బికాస్ there is no love and affection is there, number one, even though they saw and suffer a nervous shock, because it is they who are should be lion hearted people. మిలిటరీలో తీసుకోపోయినా అనుకో సార్ నాకు చంపడం కాదు సార్ అంటే వాడు తీసుకుంటారా అండి వాడు అన్నీ
No, sir.
బార్డర్ సెక్యూరిటీ ఫోర్స్లో వేసిన అనుకో ఆర్డర్ అనగానే చంపేయాల్సిందే అంతే. ఓకే, చాడ్విక్ కేసులా చూద్దాం. ఈ చాడ్విక్ కేసులా రెస్క్యూ కేసులా అండి ఇది. ఎందుకంటే హెడ్ ఆన్ కొలిజన్ అవుతుంది రైల్వే అండ్ ద పీపుల్ బికమ్ ఏ పల్ప్, పాపడైపోతారు అక్కడ ముక్కలు ముక్కలు. అంటే ఏరుకొని పట్టుకురావాలా, కాలు ఒక్కడ బస్తాలు వేసి తీసుకెళ్ళాలా. దిస్ ఫెలో వీడు యాక్చువల్లీ వీడు మెంటలీ డిజార్డర్ ఫెలో. వీడు ఎవరు రెస్క్యూకి పోయినాడు, ఏమున్నది దానికి ఆల్రెడీ ఒకసారి కొంచెం షాక్ తిన్నట్టు. సో అగైన్ ఈ వెంట ఓవర్ ద రెస్క్యూ. ఆ చూడంగానే మళ్ళీ ఏమైందంటే వానికి ట్రిగర్డ్ అయిపోయింది ఆ షాక్, అయిపోయి నర్వస్ షాక్ వచ్చేసింది. అండ్ షీ ఫైల్డ్ ఏ కేస్ ఇన్ ద బ్రిటిష్ రైల్వే బోర్డ్ and who negligence relation to crash was not in a dispute. So issue ఏమైందంటే whether Chadwick is going to get the compensation from the railway board or not, because they say a person who comes to the rescue, even he suffered a nervous shock over there, yes, he will be entitled to get, because if no compensation will be paid, nobody will come for the rescue. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
కాబట్టి
Yes, sir.
ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేసిండ్రు, సపోజ్ రోడ్డు మీద యాక్సిడెంట్ అయింది అనుకోండి, ఇఫ్ ఎనీబడి గివ్ ద కంప్లైంట్ అండ్ ద పోలీస్, నాట్ పోలీస్, సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్ గోయింగ్ టు గివ్ ద అవార్డ్ టు దెమ్, నెంబర్ వన్. నెంబర్ టూ, ఇఫ్ ఎనీవన్ టేక్ టు ద పోలీస్ స్టేషన్, దే విల్ గివ్ ద అవార్డ్ టు దెమ్, మానిటరీ అవార్డ్. I don't know whether it practically is going on, or only it is only stunt. Yes?
Only stunt, I think so, sir. Only stunt.
No, sir.
don't know.
It is going on.
I think some people got it, it seems. That's a reality would be there, but I don't know whether
The
they
reality,
will get
sir.
it or not. Anyway, there is a disputed question. We are not bothered about that one. So now, see, ఒకటి మానవతావాది, a person who is a humanity should not live, అరే ఇది పోలీస్ కేసు రా మనకెందుకురా అప్పుడు అనుకోవద్దు. అదే మీ తల్లి ఉన్నదనుకోండి, కొడుకు ఉన్నాడు అనుకోండి, చెల్లె ఉన్నదనుకోండి, బిడ్డ ఉన్ననుకోండి, డూ డూ ద సేమ్ థింగ్?
No.
Because of that cases only they are adjusted, sir. One, if యాక్సిడెంట్స్ ఏమన్నా జరిగినట్టు ఏది ఉంటే వాళ్ళను ఇబ్బంది పెట్టకుండా జస్ట్ హాస్పిటలైజ్డ్ ఉంటే
Supreme Court has given the directions. If a person
sir.
who give the complaint, you are not supposed to harass him every time, because
Yes,
that
sir.
fellow has given, you never ask him to come again to the court. You take if anything on the phone only, because he stays somewhere in the, say about Delhi, and the accident happened in the Hyderabad. He give the complaint. Does it mean that he should come from there?
Yes, sir.
No. You can call him, you can say, yes, sir, I saw it. Enough. No cross-examination, no chief examination, no nothing. Because everything would be there in the Panchanama.
Yes, sir.
Following me? So these are all the cases we already read. Dolly versus White case law, we read it. Hambrook versus Stoke Brothers case law, we read it. And Page versus Smith case law, just we read it, the primary victim. And here McLaughlin versus O'Brien. If you don't remember, O'Brien Okay, you can write O'Brien also because it's a tough case law, no? They will consider you also if you write it. McLaughlin versus O'Brien. కాబట్టి మెక్లాగ్లిన్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, ఎందుకంటే ఫస్ట్ నేమ్ ఇస్ వెరీ మచ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. మెక్లాగ్లిన్ వర్సెస్ ఓబ్రియాన్. సపోజ్ ఇన్ కేస్ యూ కుడ్ నాట్ రిమెంబర్ ఇట్, యూ రైట్ మెక్ వర్సెస్ ఓబ్రియాన్, యూ కెన్ రైట్ ఇట్ because at least you will face the marks, because the examiner feels that yes, you know the name of the case law, but he doesn't know Laughlin. So Mec at least written over there. This Mec అనేది ఫ్రెంచ్ నేమ్స్ వస్తుందండి ఎక్కువ. మెక్ స్ట్రీక్విన్, మెక్ అంటే ఫ్రెంచ్ వాళ్ళకు నేమ్లలో వస్తుంది. మెక్ ఓబ్రియాన్ కేస్ లా, and this also negligence case law, psychiatric damage and forcibility would be there, and hence they are going to get it. So the issues also I made it. And Wilkinson versus Downton, everybody should have to know it. Yes, what is the Wilkinson versus Downton?
In this case, it is a practical joke case.
It is a practical joke case. In that way, you have to remember. Whatever the bird,
Yes, sir.
what is the another fishwife?
Fishwife case is Borrell versus Young, sir.
What is another name for the case law? Another name for the case law. చూపెట్టానండి, చెప్పాను కూడా. హే, HEY, హే, హే వర్సెస్ తర్వాత ఇది ఏంటిది, బోరివల్ వర్సెస్
Young versus Young.
So that way you can write it, that case law. There is a fishwife. And Chadwick case law, ఇప్పుడే చెప్పాను,
Pass.
రెస్క్యూ,
Pass answer.
railway collision rescue. He suffered the harm. Chadwick went where a railway crash is there, and he rescued the passengers, those who died from the bogies, and already he having a more depression earlier, but still in the whole night he was there and removing the corpse from the bogies, and hence he suffered the nervous shock. So he can also get, సార్ అక్కడ లవ్ అండ్ ఎఫెక్షన్ లేదు కదా సార్ అక్కడ. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
But there is a humanity is there. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
అంటే దాన్ని బట్టి ఏమవుతుందంటే డిపెండింగ్ అపాన్ ద సిచ్యువేషన్స్ నర్వస్ షాక్ అనేది ఇస్తారు. అదే మరి ఇక్కడ వైట్ వాళ్ళ పోలీసు వాళ్ళకి ఇవ్వలే కదండి.
పోలీసు వాళ్ళకు అన్ని ఫిట్నెస్ ఉంటుంది, రైల్వే వాళ్ళ కాకుండా వీళ్ళకు ఫిట్నెస్ అనేది డిఫరెంట్ గా ఉంటుంది సార్, ఎక్సర్సైజెస్ ఉంటాయి.
Yes, that is the difference. That is the difference. Military people and police people, they are tough enough. They are not the chicken heart people. They are the lion heart people. And that is the reason. Moreover, their duty is to protect it. And that is the reason. But here, the rescue cases, if nobody would be given such a thing, nobody would come forward to rescue any person. ఇప్పుడు కంప్లైంట్ ఇవ్వడం కూడా రెస్క్యూయే కదా అండి, అది హెల్పే కదా.
Yes, sir.
దెన్ ఇప్పుడు కంప్లైంట్ ఇచ్చినంత మాత్రాన వాడిని హరాజ్ చేస్తే ఉంటారా అంటే ఎవడన్నా కూడా సార్ ఇస్తాడా వాడు? He will not give any time.
No, sir.
So there is a stricture passed by the Supreme Court that you are not supposed to harass the people. Adhe white place already we discussed it. What is that? The policeman suffered the post-traumatic stress disorder. But the House of Lords say, consider primary victims, since none of them are at any time exposed to the personal danger or reasonably believed themselves to be so, hence they are not going to get any compensation in the White versus Chief Constable of South Yorkshire case law. Then Indian approaches, okay, some of the case law is there. Joseph Philip Mumfilly versus Premier Automobile Limited. In this case, maximum compensation was granted to the plaintiff for the mental agony in India. A brand new car was sold to the plaintiff, Mr. Jose, which was defective. As a result of this, Mr. Jose suffered from a nervous shock. ఏమైందండి, వాడు కింద పడ్డాడు, అయింది. He might have fell down, I believe, because of the defect, it seems. Nervous shock, and when the plaintiff complains for it, manufacturer denies his liability by giving the reason that it is not his fault, since it is very trivial matter. No. Suppose if the vehicle come out of its axle, it is not a trivial act. వెహికల్ ఎట్లా తిరుగుతుందో తెలుసా అండి మీకు? మొదటి పయ్యా ఒక రౌండ్ షేప్ ఉంటుంది ఒకటి, దాంట్లో ఇది రివాల్వ్ అవుతుంది. అది ఫాలోయింగ్ మీ? ఏది ఇప్పుడు అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫ్రంట్ డ్రైవ్ వెహికల్స్ వచ్చినాయి, బ్యాక్ డ్రైవ్ వెహికల్ అట్లుంటుంది. ఫ్రంట్ డ్రైవ్ వెహికల్ మాది యాక్సిల్నే తిప్పుతుంది అన్నట్టు. ఏది పిస్టన్, అది ఇంజన్. ఆ వెనకై ఒట్టిగా వస్తాయి అన్నట్టు, ట్రైలర్ వచ్చినట్టే. చిన్న కార్లకు ఐఎమ్ స్పీకింగ్. ఇప్పుడు హోండా ఉన్నది అనుకోండి, చిన్న కారు, ఈ మారుతి ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఫ్రంట్ వీల్ ఓన్లీ ఇట్ మూవ్స్, బ్యాక్ వీల్ ఇట్ ఓన్లీ ఫాలోస్. అదే పాత లారీలకే
back wheel will move. Back wheels.
the back wheel will move, the front wheel ఓన్లీ ఫాలోస్. ఆ ఫ్రంట్ వీల్ ఎండ్లో ఫిక్స్ అయి ఉంటుందా చూసారా మీరు ఎప్పుడైనా? ఒక రౌండ్ బాల్కి దాంట్లో ఒకటే ఫిక్స్ అయి ఉంటుంది ఇది. ఎందుకంటే ఇటు కట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇటు తిరగాల, ఇటు కట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇటు తిరగాల. Are you following me? If you swerve to the right, it will move to the right. If you swerve to the left, it will move to the left. Now everything is a power steering now, not manual. I don't know whether lorries also they are using the power steering or not, but all the cars they are using the power steering. Am I right?
Sir, it is a power steering now, updated everything.
Okay.
Lorries also.
So next, Bangalore Development Authority versus Syndicate Bank judgment in the case clearly states that the compensation granted will depend upon the facts of each case, nature of harassment, the period of harassment, and nature of the arbitrary and capricious negligent action for the authority related to such a harassment. Even harassment caused the mental agony, which a person is strained over there, then we can say it is a psychiatric injury. The only legislation in India which governs the mental illness and the authority taking care of is governed by the Mental Health Act 1987. And the rest of the aspects are dealt in accordance with the reasonability and explained above. Means, what are the consequences are there? Whether it is really a physical mental agony, the psychiatric illness or nervous shock or not, the depth of it, the magnitude of it, which goes with the brain, then only we can consider it. And the Mental Health Act 1987 also make such a distinction. Otherwise, all will depend upon the decided case laws. Now, Lucknow Development Authority versus M.K. Gupta. In this case, Lucknow Authority failed to provide a flat to the plaintiff M.K. Gupta in due course of time, as stated by during the time of the payment for it. In such a situation, the plaintiff filed a compensation under the harassment and mental agony. Suppose aged people అనుకోండి, బాగా హరాస్మెంట్ చేసింది అనుకోండి, it comes to the psychiatric injury. He was granted the compensation on the ground that the judgment socially benefited the victim, and so in the part of the judgment stating to grant relief was also paid. From the above case, we can very rightly infer that the India does not have any statute regarding the liability for the nervous shock, but only the decided cases, and only one act, the Mental Health Act, is concerned. Cases regarding the psychiatric damages are adjudicated, means disposed, or decided on the basis of rationality, reasonability, and prudent man or prudent woman thinking. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So now, the Ghaziabad Development Authority versus Balbir Singh, and another case, the Haryana Development Authority versus Vijay Agarwal, where the same line of judgment was followed. If the Development Authority did not assign the house in the interim, harassing them, and that also leads to the psychiatric injury. But this was again distinguished in the case of Ghaziabad Development Authority versus Union of India, where there was a contract for a plot which was delayed in giving them the specified date in the contract. And here the court looked at the case only from the point of the contract and followed the Specific Relief Act 1963. And without taking into account any aspect of the tort, here the Supreme Court also said it was improper for the compensating the plaintiff for the mental languishment. Suppose if that plot supposed to give a particular date, okay. The particular date, if it is not given, can you file a case under the psychiatric injury?
No, sir.
the court says, if you want to file, okay, you can file it the Specific Relief Act. Plus, you can ask for the damages with the interest, because flat is not given in the intime. But a continuous harassment would be there. Yes.
Then we can go for
For
psychiatric
that
illness.
time, and moreover, the person is a senior citizen, and they're all children are staying in, one in Canada, one in Australia, one in USA, and only wife and husband are here, and they are forced to. So they will say, "Sir, our mental agony would be there, and we are, and moreover, transferring from the house to another house, it's a very Herculean task because of the goods. Of course, now the mover and packers are there. They will pack it and give you it unless you have the money. But at least supervision should be there, no? Is it not the harassment to them? So, if in such cases, they will consider the harassment, in other cases, they don't consider the harassment. Are you following me? Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
There
sir.
is a saying, ముందుగాల ఇద్దరే ఉన్నాం, ఇప్పుడు కూడా ఇద్దరే ఉన్నాం, మధ్యలో వచ్చిండ్రు, మధ్యలో పోయిండ్రు అంటే ఏంటిదండి? If you don't know, say pass on.
Pass on, sir.
See, when you married, you are both wife and husband. After some time, you will get the children. After some time, they get married. After some time, they will be having their own life. They will far away. They go away. Again, only both will be left over there. ముందుగాల్లో ఇద్దరే ఉన్నాం, ఇప్పుడు కూడా ఇద్దరమే ఉన్నాం. In the beginning also we are two, and now also we are two. And the meanwhile, those who came in the middle and have gone in the middle. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ఓకే. మధ్యలో వచ్చిందంటే పిల్లలు మధ్యలో వస్తారు కదండి, పెళ్లిళ్ళు అయిన తర్వాత వెళ్ళిపోతారు కదా, మధ్యలో వచ్చిండ్రు, మధ్యలో వెళ్ళిపోయినరు, మళ్ళీ మిగిలేది ఎంత? ఇద్దరే. Are you following me? So Law Commission also said, I think the 1986 Law Commission, if I don't be mistaken. So Law Commission report also says that, suggests that there is a need to restrict the claims in the respect of the secondary victim. Otherwise, it would open the floodgates for the number of cases. సార్, వాడు గారెడి చూస్తూ ఉంటే ఆ పాము చూసారండి, గారెడి ఎప్పుడైనా చూసారండి? ఇప్పుడు ఈ పాము ముంగుస్తుతోని కొట్లాడుతుందని చెప్తా ఉంటాడు చూడండి.
Yes, sir.
ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్పండి.
సార్,
ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్పండి, ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పింది.
Pass on, sir.
The serpent, now there is a fight between the serpent and a mongoose. దాన్ని మంగూసే అంటారు ఇంగ్లీష్లో కూడా. ఏమంటారండి? ముంగూస్ని ముంగూసే అంటారు. ఎట్లనే ఇదే సేమ్ వీల్సే. ముంగూస్ ఇమేజెస్ మీకు చూపెడతాను చూడండి.
Mongoose.
చూసిండ్రా? మంగూస్ స్పెల్లింగ్ ఏంటిది? ఎంఓ ఎంఓనా ఎంయుఆ?
MONGOOSE. Mongoose.
MONGOOSE, mongoose. So mongoose will like what the pet food for the mongoose?
Snakes. Rats.
snakes.
Snakes is the first, it will because it will enjoy it. So there will be a fight between the serpent and the mongoose now అంటే అందరు నిలబడతారు. నిజంగానే ఫైట్ చేపిస్తాడా? లాస్ట్కి ఏం చేస్తాడు? ఒక తాయితాయి కట్టి వెళ్ళిపోతాడు. తాయితాయి పైసలు తీసుకుని వెళ్ళిపోతాడు. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
సార్, మీరు గాడిని బాగా చూసిండ్రా సార్ అంటే పోతా ఉంటే కనబడతా ఉంటుంది కదండి రోడ్డు మీద. కనబడుతుందా కనబడదా?
కనబడుతుంది సార్.
Yes, yes. So now these are the things which you will come across psychiatric illness. So separately, the psychiatric illness is not merely a grief. Psychiatric illness is not merely an insult. It is more than that. Is called psychiatric. So psychiatric damage are recent but an important aspect of law. For a secondary victim to be able to claim, they must have suffered a psychiatric illness. When we can say that he suffered a psychiatric illness, That will be decided by the court only on the experts of the medical. Psychiatric injury would be acceptable for the damages. Damages are recoverable for the nervous shock, or to put in a medical terminology, any recognizable, see the wording they said is no, for any recognizable psychiatric illness caused by the breach of a duty by the defendant. Damage have been awarded for the plethora of different psychiatric injuries. What are they? Involving the psychiatric injury, which is a difficult to legally evidence, that a medical expert's advice will always be needed. Who will decide it is a psychiatric illness? Who will decide?
The medical
Psychiatrist.
expert.
It is the medical experts on neurology department. They decide. There is a neurological problem ఉండదు. మెదడు ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ అంటారు చూడండి, ఏమనాలండి దానిలో ఇంగ్లీష్లో?
సైకియాట్రిస్ట్ ఆర్ న్యూరో?
సైకియాట్రిస్ట్ వేరు, న్యూరాలజిస్ట్ అంటారు.
Yes, sir. Neurologist.
Neuros are there in the minds అన్ని. సో న్యూరాలజిస్ట్ అంటారు అని, బికాస్ హీ విల్ డిసైడ్ ఇట్. ఎస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అమౌంట్ టు ద సో అండ్ సో థింగ్. సిజోఫెర్నియా అన్నా కానివ్వండి, ఇంకా వెరైటీ హై డిప్రెషన్ అని కానివ్వండి, అండ్ హలుసినేషన్ కానివ్వండి. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ద థింగ్స్. Yeah. So many factors are there where we can consider it. Yes, it is a disorder would be there. Mental imbalance would be there because of the a blood clot would be there in the brain. ఎందుకైతుందంటే ఇక్కడ బ్లడ్ క్లాట్ అనేది నో సఫిషియంట్ బ్లడ్ రీచెస్ టు ద బ్రెయిన్ ఆల్సో. ఆర్ యు ఫాలోయింగ్ మీ?
Yes, sir.
ఇఫ్ బ్లడ్ ఎక్కువన్నా కష్టమే ఏది మెదడుకు రాదానికి, బ్లడ్ తక్కువన్నా కష్టమే మెదడుకి. కంటే పంపింగ్ సిస్టమ్ బాగున్నది అనుకోండి, ఎస్ ఇట్ విల్ గో ఆటోమేటికలీ. సో జనరల్లీ అవర్ హెడ్ ఈజ్ అప్, అవర్ లెగ్ ఈజ్ డౌన్. ద పంపింగ్ సిస్టమ్ మోర్ ఇన్ ఆన్ అవర్ కాఫ్లో పంపింగ్ ఉంటుంది చూడండి. ఆ కాఫ్ మీరు మసిల్ ఎప్పుడైనా చూసుకోండి, వెనకాల టైట్గా ఉంటాయి, స్ట్రాంగ్ ఉంటాయి మసిల్స్. దే విల్ మేక్ ఏ మూమెంట్ ఆల్సో. మనము సాక్స్ దొడుకుతాం. ఎందుకు దొడుకుతామండి సాక్స్? it will pressurize the blood to go up. Pressure. So that is also a good method of wearing the socks. ఇప్పుడు మనకు దెబ్బ తగిలింది అనుకునే వాడు అది క్రేప్ పట్టి ఇస్తాడు చూడండి, చూసారా మీరు? క్రేప్ పట్టి
చూసాం సార్.
దాన్ని టైట్గా కట్టుకుంటాడు. ఎందుకు? ద బ్లడ్ షుడ్ టు సర్క్యులేట్ అప్, అదర్వైజ్ యూ విల్ గెట్ అది కాళ్ళు వాస్తాయి, ఒడిమా తిరిగి వచ్చేస్తుంది అన్నట్టు వాపులు. సో థింగ్స్, దీస్ ఆర్ ద థింగ్స్ విల్ కమ్ across when we are making the thing. And moreover, when an injury is caused over there to the leg, he will say that keep in the height. ఎందుకు? పంపింగ్ సిస్టమ్ అక్కడ లో అయిపోతుంది అక్కడ. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So that is the reason only the person, those who could keep the head high, they are very much intellectuals. అంటే బాగా highly, అంటే hypothalamus also there, because the reasoning would be there. That is a man is a dynamic personality in the human beings. Till today, nobody has measured how many gigabytes we can keep our memory. Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these four are very much important. Please read the four. These are very much important. Read.
A close tie of love and affection with the person killed, injured, or endangered. Proximity to the incident in time and space. Perception by sight or hearing of the incident. The psychiatric injury must be as the result of nervous shock.
Yes. These are four conditions are there. Then we can say, yes, it comes under the nervous shock. If not, we cannot make it the nervous shock. So that was the thing which is I want to say it. And later on, in the conclusions also I made, yes, nowadays people will approach definitely, because law of taught us developed so much good in this way. So the test of the reasonable foreseeability ought to be based on informed judicial opinion by the courts, not expert psychiatrists. Over reliance on medical categories can be misleading in fixed legal principles. Suppose sometimes they will take the psychiatrist's view, they will take the medical categories view, and they will decide that really this is suffered and where he got the injury. Then at the time the psychiatric injury will be given. Of course, it is dependent upon the judge. When he will be satisfied, then he can give it. Suppose if you are not happy by his decision, then he can say that you can go to the appeal. So a more principled approach can also be adopted by reviewing the artificial barriers to recovery applied to the secondary victim. This will expand the range of the potential claimant as well as requiring the primary victims and a claimant who has suffered the physical injury to show that the psychiatric harm was foreseeable in the circumstances. This will narrow the range of the potential claimants. So how far the secondary victim is received, the injury is, the psychological injury, a psychiatric injury is very important factor. So finally, our response to claim the psychiatric harm or illness or injury should be more intuitive. Rather than focusing on the categorization of the victim, we must put more emphasis on notions like fault and culpability on the defendant's part. This will take us back to the theory of the forcibility. Again, the forcibility would also be taken. A forcibility lo manam a reasonable forcibility does not mean the remote possibility అని మనం చదువుకున్నామండి. చదువుకున్నామా లేదా?
చదువుకున్నాం సార్.
దాంట్లో ఒక్క కేసులో చెప్పండి. క్రికెట్ బాల్ కేసులో
క్రికెట్ బాల్
బోల్టన్ వర్సెస్ యంగ్ క్రికెట్ బాల్ కేసులో
yes sir.
బ్రౌన్ వర్సెస్ జెండాల్ ద డాగ్స్ ఫైటింగ్ కేసులో when the two dogs are fighting over there and he wants to separate it with the stick, then one of the stick went to the eyes of the somebody else and he got the one eye blind. So nobody could see that such a thing is going to happen. Malindi ceiling fan case la. What is the ceiling fan case la? Courts versus Mongini brothers or another case la. See, this is the way you have to remember the things. So reasonable forcibility does not mean a remote possibility. So forcibility also will be taken. So what here again? Sleep disorder, phobia, and schizophrenia, depressive, and the stress, post-traumatic stress, personality disorder, and the suicidal interest, and these are all comes under the mentally disordered things. And also nervous shock or psychiatric illnesses, medically speaking, read.
Nervous shock or psychiatric illness. Medically speaking, nervous shock would mean the following: circulatory failure marked by a sudden fall of blood pressure and resulting in pallor, sweating, fast but weak pulse, and sometimes complete collapse. Its causes include disease, injury, and psychological trauma.
So these are all come under the disorders, psychiatric injuries. So with this, at any time it is going to be stopped now. So if you see the next syllabus happened is thought affecting immobile property. What is immobile property?
Tirasti.
Land, house is the immobile property, but generally we can say land. So tomorrow that we are going to read is trespass to
Immobile property.
Yeah, it is the Indian tradition that in the beginning or the ending of any program that we will make the play of the national anthem. Now the national anthem will be.
Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga
सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद।